Hi guys, Mrs. Gessler here. We are doing research question number 2, so you made it through the first one. Now, every single time we do a research question, we're going to add something to it. We're going to enhance it. So we are still going to, or you are still going to have to choose a question. You are still going to have to answer it. You are still going to have to use credible sources. You are still going to have to include an in-text citation or more. But what we're adding with research question number 2 is plagiarism. Now, if you've heard that term before, great, and you might have an idea of what it is. Maybe you've just heard the term, but you don't have a clue what it is. Plagiarism is actually something that is illegal, and kids do it all the time. It's when you copy something from somewhere else, could be a friend, could be on the internet, could be from a book, but when you copy something from another place and you put it in something that has your name on it, like a paper, that's called plagiarism. Now, it is against the law, but as a kid, they're not going to throw you in jail. They're not even going to fine you. But society expects us to teach kids about plagiarism because once you become an adult and you're no longer in school, if you plagiarize, they can fine you quite heavily. That means they can charge you a lot of money. I don't think that they can throw you in jail, but I know that you can be sued and they can take you to court, and we don't want that to happen. So during this time, I am going to show you about how to make sure things are in your own words. I can tell you one of the biggest mistakes people do, and then they think that they're not plagiarizing, is kids will copy it, and then they'll just take out a few words or change a few words, and it doesn't work that way. Because even if you use what we call the sentence structure of what was in the internet, it's still going to come up. What I want you to do is I have originality checks that I put into research question number 1. And that way I wanted you to see if maybe you thought, well, I am putting it in my own words. You can run that originality check and you can see if it pulls up anything that they considered to be plagiarized. So just keep in mind that this is going to be the one. I won't accept research question number 2 unless you have it in your own words, which is called paraphrasing. This is also, since it's our second research question, I am going to give you 4 days with it, and you get to go at your own pace. The Google Classroom, it has the assignment already, and it has step-by-step everything to do. One of the big things people kept forgetting to do last time, though, was filling out the Google form that was with it. And whenever you put something in the Google form that you want me to check, you do have to push submit. Now, we have found out that sometimes when people get back into it, it didn't save it for them. And that's okay. If it's going into the next part, because once you submit it, it does save it for me. So I can go back and I can still see that. But when you're putting something new into a Google form, make sure your name is there, always. Otherwise, I don't know it's you. And then put in whatever the new thing is, and then put submit. The other thing is that if you are given the option to submit a new answer or to edit your answer, you should hit edit your answer. Because if you hit submit new, it erases everything. Not for me, but erases everything for you. So we're going to do this. Have fun. It's connection time. Today's connection is how many things can you remember from the Credible Sources anchor chart without looking? Now, if you're at home, I want you either to write them down or tick them off on your hands and try to come up with a number. If you're in school, I want you to go around your table and I want each person to take a turn and count how many you can. Now, instead of explaining the anchor chart, I'm just going to go through the things, and if it's something that you or your group remembered, I want you to tick it off. So .edu, meaning almost 100%, and it means education. .gov, almost 100%, means government. Statista, almost 100%. .org, 90%, consider their purpose, that's an organization. And then .com, communication, but you have to look. You have to see, does it have an educated author? And if they won't tell you who they are, remember, don't count it. Also, does it have a copyright? Also, the last one on there was Google Scholar, which is one that we can say almost 100%, but it's much harder to read. Now here's the second part of the anchor chart. Did you remember to avoid blog, Wikipedia, wiki, answers, opinion, editorial, poll, debate, and anything related to social media? And if you name different social medias, those each can count as one. Let's see what your number is. Today, your I can statement is I can write clearly and coherently. And why do we do everything we do in writing class? Say it with me. I want to be an effective communicator. It is time to select a question from your list. Yes, that list of what I wonder questions. You'll probably have to look through your Google Docs to find it. You should have a list of 20 or more questions to choose from. You want to make sure that you choose a question that will take more than one sentence to answer. You will have to have a minimum of 3 sentences. And it's something that you don't already know, that you will have to research, and you can use credible sources to do it. After you have selected your question, you want to research. You want to use only credible sources. And one of the best ways to tell if something is true or not is if you have 2 sources that you think are credible sources and they both say the same thing. That is even more validity that it is true. Try to find the answer to your question. Before you get out of today's lesson, get into the Google form that is attached to this assignment, put in your first and last name, put in your test question. I do need to see it, and if you'll be able to have a score tomorrow when you come in because of the question you put in today. You have to make sure that you push submit. If you're already at the point that you can do the next thing also for another score, you can put in your credible website that you're using, but you have to also put in the explanation. Do you see the question right below it? It says, how do you know that that's a credible source? If you just put in the credible source, I cannot give you credit for that part of the assignment. I have to know that you understand why it is a credible source. And if you're putting in your credible source, paste and copy the web address. Do not just put in a domain. Do not just tell me that it's National Geographic. I want the link. I've given you directions about how to do that. Share with someone or the people at your table what your question is and what you found out today. Take turns. Once you're done for the day, I want you to remember you should be logged into Maven still. Do not forget to finish that Maven card because today might be the answer that I'm going to grade for this week. Remember, you are a writer.